Hey everybody, I'm Todd with Sweet Tea Guitars. Thanks for stopping by my YouTube channel and welcome to my life. So I'm in the Great Guitar Build Off 2021. My build's coming along great. I'm super happy with where I am right now. I'm loving this build. I'm loving this contest. I'm loving my life. I am building a 25.5-inch scale, custom headstock, 22 fret, medium high fret wire, custom dot inlays on my fretboard, Space Padauk fretboard, 5-piece Purple Heart and Padauk neck. I'm using an American walnut body that I created a shape out of 4 different templates. I used a PRS, a Les Paul, a Stratocaster, and a Telecaster template. Well, actually, let me go back. I did not use a Stratocaster. The bottom end down here is actually from an Ibanez JS1000 template that I made because I like that non-symmetrical contour that the JS has got down there. And I thought that would be pretty cool on a Les Paul-esque body. I've also rearranged, if you guys can see it right there, I've hand drawn the lower horn. I'm going after something that's a little unique. You know, after all, this is a Great Guitar Build Off. I'm putting a Tremoline FT36 double locking 2-point tremolo system on this guitar. So one more bit of news, Steve McElhenney. Steve makes killer guitar hardware as well. Right now it's knobs. He also makes killer guitar templates. I'm going to use his knobs, even though Theodore sent me a set of nice Tremoline knobs too. I'm going to save those Tremoline knobs, use those on a different guitar. That way I'm incorporating as much little boutique quality things from different guys that I can. Steve's knobs that he sent me and the Tremoline FT36 are new enough that it's not something you're going to see on a lot of guitars that get turned in for the Great Guitar Build Off. So I'm hoping that gives me, you know, at least enough of an advantage to get noticed. You know, I'm trying to turn Sweet Tea into something that will support my love for building. I'd really love to do this for a living, and the only way I'm ever going to do that is to turn this into a business. That's my plan, and I'm going to keep kicking on this until I actually make that happen. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Mojo Tone, but they're up in North Carolina. They're sending me a set of pickups. I'm getting a 59 modern humbucker for the bridge, which I requested. It's a F-spaced because I am using a Floyd type tremolo in the FT36 Tremoline. And they're sending me 2 58 quiet coil single coil pickups for the middle and the neck position. Keith at Mojo Tone was more than happy to help me based on the fact that I'm basically his neighbor. He's inspired by the story that I'm telling. You know, I'm wanting to get into this, being a player for so long, and now wanting to become a builder. I think, you know, it hit a chord with him. So they're sending me a set of pickups. Thank you, Keith. I really appreciate it, brother, and I'll do anything I need to return that favor. You have my word on that. You guys check out Mojo Tone pickups. I had mentioned in my first video the reasons why I like having truss rod access in the heel, and especially on a guitar with a locking nut. So the more I thought about it on this Padauk Purple Heart neck, the more I kept telling myself I really want that truss rod access in the heel, not the headstock. So here's what I've done. I've sliced the thickness off of this neck and gotten rid of the truss rod slot that I had cut with the access in the headstock. Now, I don't know if you guys can see what that's done. I don't have enough thickness right here in this headstock to cover the 13.5 to 14 millimeter thickness I want on the headstock. But, you know, I had mentioned veneering the front of my headstock with walnut or maple or whatever. Not only am I gonna put like a 4 or 5 millimeter piece of walnut on the front of this headstock. I'm also going to veneer the back of the headstock. That way I've got plenty of thickness. So the back of this is pretty much as flat as I can get it, the part that's taped to the table, on the table saw. This side I want to glue to my headstock and make this side my glue contact point. So what I want to do is thin this out. This board's about 8 millimeters thick. I want it between 4 and 5 millimeters thick. I've sharpened up my number 4 plane. Using a hand plane sometimes is pretty cool. For this process, I think it'll work out really nice. And so let's see if we can't get some thickness taken off of this board. Now I'm going to turn around. I know I'm going against the grain, but I'm leaving myself a little lip right up here. And I want to get that off. It's cutting all right against the grain. All right. Now I'll just keep going until I get this down. I'm still a little thick, but I think what I'm going to do now, if you guys remember the sanding board that I flattened the face of my neck, I'm going to take this thing and start working on this a little bit, and we'll see how quick this can get us down where we need to be. Look at that walnut. That is beautiful. That is a beautiful color. I really like it. Oh, that is really nice. Here's my plan on this. So I want to line this up just a little, about 1 millimeter behind where my locking nut's going to go. I want to prepare the back too. And I've already got this cut to size on the length. So now, see, I've got adequate depth, you know, all the way to the end. That's 20 millimeters right there, 20 millimeters thick. I'm going to leave this glued up overnight. We'll take some clamps and I'll use some cawls or whatever I need to clamp this down, that front and back piece that goes on this. I'll leave that overnight. When I come down in the morning, we're going to cut that piece of walnut that I glue up to the front. I'm going to cut that same angle into the surface of that walnut, and then that'll make that look homogeneous. I feel like if I play too much on that orange purple, this could very well wind up being a tacky guitar, and I don't want that. So I want to feature the walnut, and then I'll make sure whatever color I stain the walnut or clear coated or whatever I wind up doing is complementary to the Purple Heart and Padauk, but not to allow the Purple Heart and Padauk to be the dominant feature on the guitar. I want that to be the body. That's what I'm after. A sandwich. I've decided I'm going to give Gorilla Wood Glue a try. So I'm going to use that for this. I will say this already. The Gorilla Glue spreads easier than Type Bond 2. If that matters to anybody. I got to kind of hurry with this glue before I don't know what Gorilla Glue is going to do. I'm going to start down here because I would rather it slide up than back. I'm going to flip this over. We'll do the same thing on this side, and then I'll check it one more time. We're good. I got squeeze out all down the sides. On those ends, I see squeeze out there. We will join each other again soon. I will be back in the morning. We will take the clamps off of this headstock, and I'll explain a little further what we've got going on with this thing. And we'll get that truss rod slot cut. I've worked on this with a hand plane a little and gotten this thinned down. It's a little thicker on this back edge, so I'm going to take a scraper and get that level with this front. I wanted a veneer. I don't want a chunk. And then we'll turn our attentions over to the back side. So let's get this scraped down. So I'm just going to take a flat scraper and work on this back edge for just a minute to get that leveled out. And then we'll sand the whole face. I really like that. I think that's going to be really awesome. So I hope you guys are digging that as well. I've got this thing clamped up in my neck, in my cutting jig, and I'm taking about 3 millimeters at a time. I've already been 2 passes, so I will pan down and let you guys see my method for cutting a truss rod slot. Go back to meet my stop, and then we'll go slowly forward to the other stop. I want to stop and clean all this dust out of my slot, check my depth. I'm about, I would say, 1 millimeter proud of the surface of my neck. I'm not a fan of rolling the tape up to put on top of the truss rod slot. I am a fan, however, of putting a dollop of some silicone-based adhesive in the bottom of the truss rod slot away from the ends. So about here and about here. I like to do that. It keeps the truss rod from rattling in the slot. All right, so one more pass and we should be good to go at this point. It is like a 1/2 millimeter below the surface, which is what I want. We're gonna switch over to a slightly larger bit so we can get the area that the truss rod adjustment nut goes in. We can get that cut. So I've scratched these lines already. I'm going to take these clamps off. Oh yeah, so that has worked absolutely killer. All my fret slots are scribed into this fretboard. Where I'm at now, we've got our neck blank. I've got my neck shape drawn off on there. I laid my template down, made sure I had it nice and firmly held, and I drew out the shape of my neck all the way around here, and I drew out my headstock shape. What we're going to do right now is cut the rough shape out of this neck, and then we'll be to a point that we can attach a template to this thing, run it across the router table, and get our fretboard glued on. I really love making these videos, and I really love participation from the people who view them. I was about to say my audience, but you know, I'm not that vain. The people who choose to view my videos. I really appreciate you guys and all your comments. Really killer. I love you. You're beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, let's take a look at where we are. So, starting to look like a guitar neck. I'm excited again. This is a great time to be alive. I'm going to use these 2 radius blocks at some point today to get this fretboard glued on. That's basically what it's going to be. This is beautiful. I'm loving this. I made this template from a 1/2 inch piece of MDF. I've got 3M green masking tape, 2 layers wrapped around the outside of this template this time. And the reason I did that, I want to make sure I get a nice tight fit into my neck pocket, which I have yet to cut. Let's get this neck run across the router table so we can start actually seeing what this thing's going to look like. So you can see where, you know, my transition from my Purple Heart to my Padauk is a little uneven on both sides, but it's relatively in the same spot. Nothing some sandpaper won't fix. I got room, plus we got profile and all that stuff to do on the back of here. I'm super happy with this. I stayed away from this corner. That's one of those oh no moments. You know, if you get on that corner right there, the way the router bit spins, that can cause you some bad issues. So I'm going to clean up this corner on the spindle sander. We'll go ahead and clean up and get this headstock shape pretty much like we want it. I'm still going to save the line, so I've got a little bit of sanding room left. I knew that this would happen, and this is so great the way this is going. It's going from Purple Heart to Padauk, back to Purple Heart, back to Padauk, back to Purple Heart. And then that is sandwiched in between two pieces of walnut. I think that's pretty cool. So I got one little chip right there, but I can fix that. Considering this is getting color too, I'm not even worried about it. We're going to glue the fretboard up. I'm just going to spread some Gorilla Glue out on here. So far I'm a fan of the Gorilla Wood Glue. Type Bond regular is great, but I went, of all places, Walmart the other day. They had Loctite, but it was Loctite Express. And I don't want Express. I want a glue that, you know, has time to cure and do its job. All right, I see squeeze all the way down. We got it on the end. I've got it all the way down on that side. Let's move this clamp all the way to the end here. We got the neck cut. My heels straightened out. I need to sand on that to get the saw marks out of the way. I left it 2 millimeters over anyway. We need to draw off some transition areas. I'll decide whether or not I want to keep this or whether or not I just want to transition this straight from my neck profile into the back angle on the headstock. I'll figure that out. It's no big deal either way. All I've done was take the clamps off. We're gonna surface down this side. I'm gonna cut this excess fretboard off on the bandsaw. Then we'll run it across the router table. I wanna put one final radius sand on this fretboard at probably 180, then 320. I'm not doing inlays. I am gonna do fret markers on this, but I'm going to do aluminum tubes filled with epoxy and pearl powder. I'm going to do a small Sweet Tea insignia up here on the headstock. So let's get going on this neck. I'm going to crank up the bandsaw. We'll turn the vacuum on. I'll chop these sides off. We'll talk a little bit more. Then we'll take this thing to the router table. So you guys hang tight. I've got my heel depth where I want it. I do need to sand it. I left it about 1.5 millimeters oversized. So I've got some room here, and I can adjust up and down as far as the neck pocket depth goes. I saved myself a little bit of meat on the outside of the heel right here to make sure I can get a nice tight neck pocket fit. That hole is smaller than the head of that nut, so it cannot move that way. You know what I mean? I've got it in there nice and tight. I've got those 2 drops of Rhinzoplast in the bottom of my truss rod slot. We're nice and good. No truss rod movement, no rattle. and there's no pressure on my truss rod at this point. I'm going to fire the router table up, then we'll start marking out our facets for our neck shape. I'm having a blast at this, guys. You know, not only am I super excited about the gray guitar build off and, you know, all the things that come with that. You know, I've made so many great relationships. I've had so many great conversations with guys, other guys in the contest. It's really paying off for me in spades already. It kind of makes you feel like you wish this would never end. And the fact that it's, you know, 4 or 5 months long means that 7 more months and we're in another great guitar build off. So I can't wait till next year. But my goal is, after the great guitar build off's over, I've already announced I'll be giving a guitar away on my channel. That will be the first Sweet Tea production model guitar that I build in my shop. The great guitar build off guitar is not for sale. It will never be for sale. But if you want one just like it, obviously I'll build you one once you see it done and everything. That's a 4-blade Tideway carbide bit I bought on eBay for $11. And it absolutely went through that stuff like butter. Left an ultra smooth cut. There's no tear out. I'm going to take my neck and I'll take this to the spindle sander. We'll clean that little tip up real quick. And honestly, I could probably do that just about as easy by hand. My neck, guys. What do you think? I'm actually super happy with it, so I hope you guys like it too. I'm in the process now of cutting in my fret markers. And you guys can see I've already got a few of these installed. And the way I'm doing this, which I'm about to show you, I'm drilling about 3/32 to 1/8 of an inch into my fretboard with a 1/4 inch drill bit. And then I am inserting rings that I cut from this aluminum tubing, which is 6.35 millimeters with a 1.5 millimeter thick wall. So I'm cutting individual pieces about a little over 1/8 inch thick. When I get all these glued in, we'll go back, file those down level with my fretboard or close to level. Then I'll take my radius blocks and we'll do that final 320 grit sanding that I was wanting to do anyway. So I figured I would save that until after we get these fret markers in. I think it was originally Matt and Chris's idea at Texas Toast to do the Gray Guitar Build Off 2021. But Ben from Crimson is the one that actually took this and turned this into what it is now. And you know, the fact that he's wanting to set up a charity to help people get into building, that tells me what I already knew anyway. He's a good guy, he's kind-hearted, he's light-hearted, most certainly, and it makes me want to give something back to anyone who's wanting to be involved in this. You know, just as a way to say thank you for getting me here. Thank you for putting on this competition. Now, I know we already paid the 25-pound entry fee or whatever. That is such an insignificant amount when you come to think of it, you know. And I'm not asking for your guys to give me money. What I thought we would do is set up either a GoFundMe page, or maybe one of us could set up a PayPal account, and everybody will trade emails or whatever, and everybody can donate to this fund on PayPal, since we're dealing with so many different currencies here. And you know, if it's me, it's me. I have no interest in ripping anybody off or doing anything like that. You guys will absolutely receive a receipt for your donation, whether it be $5 or $5,000. I don't want your money. I want to give this money to people who want to get into guitar building. So think about that, guys. Email me at sweetteaguitars@outlook.com or contact me through Wix. Leave me a comment in one of my YouTube videos, or go to the Great Guitar Build Off and go to the members forum and send me a message. If you guys want to get on board with this, let me know, man. I really would love to be able to make a statement about us as a community of builders that I am absolutely so blissfully happy to belong to at this point. I mean, it makes me feel really good, and it would make me feel even better, as I'm sure it would you guys, if we, regardless of the size of the donation, like I said, if you guys, you know, if everybody were to put $5 in, you know, that's what, there's over 320 people in here. We're looking at $1,600, you know, from $5 a piece. If everybody put 20 in, we're looking at $5-6 grand, you know. And again, you'll get a receipt. I don't want your money. You have no worries about me ripping anybody off. I'll never see the money. It'll go straight from me, transferred to a fund for Crimson. And we will do this on July the 1st is when I would like to send this check, before the voting's over, before we find out who wins it. All the invitational guys are auctioning off their guitar. And I know some of you guys, I've seen it suggested that some of you guys were going to do the same thing. Auction off your guitar, donate the money to charity, or donate your build to a cause like Guitars for Vets or something like that, which is an awesome suggestion. That is a great idea to give back to any charitable fund or any charitable organization. You know, you're doing something for somebody less fortunate than you ultimately in the long run. So that's all I'm trying to get at, you know. And what's $5, man? Come on. You know, I will personally donate $100 of my own money to this fund to get us started. So if I get enough response, I'm going to set up a PayPal account. We'll get this thing going. You will get a receipt, and I will be posting total tallies as I make these YouTube videos, and we will present Crimson or the Great Guitar Build Off staff this monetary donation, a suggestion of our kindness, and a statement about who we are as people. So, peace, brothers. Come on, man, get behind this. All right, on with the build. I'm drilling these with my drill in reverse so I don't get any tear out, and so this does not drill through to my truss rod slot. So I'm starting slow. So I'm going to test fit each one of my holes and make sure I'm proud of the surface. I've got my fret markers in. Those I really like the way that looks. That is really cool. So we're going to keep going and get some more shaping done on this neck. I'm using carbon steel threaded metal inserts. I've got some M6 stainless bolts. They're Allen head. It takes a 4mm Allen wrench. These are 30 millimeters long, and these will run through the back of the bottom of the neck pocket. These will attach the neck to the body with those threaded metal inserts, run up into the neck heel. So we got some nice lines. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that. Yeah, I think you can. And you can see the line I got drawn in the middle of that facet. I've got my Shinto here. We're going to keep working with it and just start working down the neck. So I've started carving my neck, and you guys can see what I've done. I have not gotten into the transition areas yet at the nut or at the heel. And now what I will do is connect these two things. I've left both of these sides about 1.5 millimeters, 2 millimeters proud. of my final dimensions, which will give me room to sand and scrape and do whatever I need to do to tweak in that neck profile I'm after. You know, I'll probably keep using the facet method because the width of that facet gives us a reference to let us know we're cutting the same amount off of the both ends. All right, and you can see what we're doing. We've created a pyramid shape, and I'm pretty level as far as how much meat I'm taking off on either side. And you can see on this end we got the same kind of deal going on. We're going to start cutting these transitions in, and we'll use various tools for this. I'm pretty happy with how the shape has turned out. I don't have any noticeable valleys or humps or anything like that. Now, these side markers. I'm going to drill some holes down the side of this neck, and this makes me nervous. Little spot of super glue in the hole. Then I'll take a paper towel while that's still wet. And I want to wipe it away from my neck surface because I don't want the super glue interfering with the oil. Got my fret markers in, aluminum. That'll match nicely with my tubing. I'm going to get set up to fret this neck. This is a piece of rack mount for a server. This is a serpentine belt tensioner off of like a 1982 Nissan truck, I believe it was. So when you screw this, it's a 17mm adjustment bolt. I welded that onto the head of a bolt. Did the same thing down here. Found a bolt that fit nicely in the center of these bearings. And now I can turn this 17mm bolt. It runs this set of bearings up and down. I can adjust my radius. Now, obviously, I cut too big of a slot because I could actually radius fret wire that big with this thing. So, you know, unless I start making bases for King Kong, I won't need it to go up that far. Okay, so you can see I've already got a few pieces cut here. And this is how I like to do this. I've pre-radiused my fret wire. This is really hard fret wire, so I'm super excited about that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to make sure all these are lined up like they need to be. I'll just let them ride down in the fret slot. And then there we go. I'm chamfering these edges with the triangle file just a little. I've got a caul, a clamping caul I made from a cut piece of PVC. It's 3-inch PVC. I sliced it on my table saw. I made a little cove valley. I JB welded that down to a board that I cut a radius in with my radius slot cutting jig. And then I lined that with 3 pieces of 1/16 of an inch thick cork. Drill a hole through it so I can hang it up when it's not in use. Let's put some frets in. So I'm going to go down through here, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue in my slot. You don't need much, and I won't go all the way across. Then you can draw it back a little bit. We'll take our first fret. Then you want to do the sides first. Give those a little tap. Then massage from the center out. Then we'll take a damp cloth. Doesn't need to be soaking wet. You just want it a little wet so it cleans that glue off. And check and make sure that you are flush. Some guys have different methods for fretting, you know, and whatever floats your boat, man. I'm not trying to debunk anybody's theory. There's 1,000 different ways to do these things. We got a fretted neck, guys. I'm super psyched about this. You know, this is as far as I've ever made it. You know, I can give the truss rod about 1/4 of a turn is all it's going to take. Here is my neck. It's a 5-piece Paduke Purple Heart neck. It's got a walnut veneer on the headstock, custom headstock design, locking nut. I've got plans for that. We'll go through that in a later time, at a later time. And medium high Jescar fret wire, nickel silver, super hard fret wire, by the way. I have not finished the frets. All I've done is nip them off level with the side of the fretboard. I have not knocked the edge off of my rollover. We'll do that when we start doing a neck to body fit. My heel's cut in. I've got that transition nice and clean. That shape may change a little. I've left my neck about 1.5 millimeters proud of its finished dimensions. I'm pretty much where I want to be here, except for the rollover. I've got a Paduke from Space fretboard. I call it that because it's otherworldly, and I've never seen a piece of Paduke that looks quite like that. Here she is, guys. If you notice, this is not symmetrical. I have not sanded this yet. This is a rough cut. I've got a custom bottom horn on there, or a cutaway, that I hand drew that on there. My neck pocket's nice and tight. I don't have any issues. I'm not holding that neck in there. That's by itself. It's nice and tight around where the heel meets the body. Everything's nice. I'm at the proper depth. I wanted right at 8 millimeters of height above my body blank, which I've got. We're going to do some contouring on this. I really appreciate you guys watching. Click like, click subscribe. Remember Sweet Tea when it comes time to vote for the Great Guitar Build-Off. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and remember, until next time, life's too short to be purposely mean or willfully ignorant. Read more, think more, do more. Peace and love.